Meditation, in and of itself, in the simplest form, is focus.
Get your daily dose of motivation on the Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast. In Motivation with Michelle podcast, you'll get encouraging, uplifting, and life-changing wisdom that will transform your world at your fingertips, 24-hour a day. Get a fuller, deeper revelation of the tools you can implement to see incredible transformation in your life from Michelle Neustadter's powerful teachings. Tune in whenever you need to be edified, uplifted, or a dose of motivation, no matter where you are. Subscribe to Motivational Moments with Michelle podcast with Michelle Neustadter today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud.
Hey there, and welcome to this Wednesday Word of Wisdom. I'm really glad that you're joining me today. My name is Michelle Neustadter, and today I want to talk to you about something I think we know quite a bit about. I mean, there's some buzzwords that have been out there in terms of how we self-regulate, how we take care of ourselves. Most of us know that there are loads of potential, loads of benefits that come out of how we take care of ourselves, our physical health routine. We know things like exercise, what lowers my blood pressure, exercise, it staves off things like my risk for diabetes. Exercise gives me more energy. Sometimes actually we use the excuse that I don't have enough energy to avoid getting exercise, not realizing that the exercise is actually going to create energy for me. Question: how does exercise, our self-care routine, how does that correlate with mindfulness, with meditation? And how does that impact my brain? Exercise in and of itself is known as sort of like a natural antidepressant. Walking every day is one of the best antidepressants that we can have for ourselves, especially if we can make that a mindful walk. If I can incorporate mindfulness and sort of like a meditative process in my exercise, it changes the impact that it has on my mind. See, exercise releases endorphins, right? Endorphins are part of that system in my brain that gives me an automatic reward. And it's been proven that little amounts of exercise will actually improve anxious and depressive symptoms. I mean, feeling good physically actually helps us to feel better mentally. But what do I mean when I say meditation? Right? Like, I know for a lot of people that word meditation, it elicits this picture of somebody, say, sitting cross-legged on a beach doing their ohms. But that's not necessarily, that's a form of meditation, but that's not necessarily what I mean when I'm talking about meditation. Because meditation in and of itself, in the simplest form, is focus. Whatever I'm focusing on, I'm meditating on. So when I'm out on a walk, and if I'm trying to do a mindful or meditative walk, what I'm doing is trying to intentionally hone my focus in that space. So rather than allow that, say, hamster on the wheel to get rolling and have my thoughts be all over the place and impacting how I feel or how I'm experiencing that moment, I'm choosing to shift my focus. I'm choosing to hone in my focus on something that I want to focus on. So when I do a mindful walk, I'm being very intentional. I'm being intentional to focus on, say, the feeling of the wind or the sun, or just my feet in my shoes, or the feeling of the ground as my feet hit the ground. I might be focusing on the nature or the sound of the birds, or maybe it's children playing, but what I'm doing is I'm getting out of my sort of popcorn brain, and I'm allowing myself to just hone in my focus and kind of be right here. Be here in this moment. All exercise, all of it, reduces stress. It brings more oxygenated blood to my brain. It helps me to think clearer. It helps me to breathe better. It also moves a lot of toxins out of my system, which is a way of reducing stress as well. Now, fun fact though, did you know that yoga, which is a great sort of mindful meditative process we can allow ourselves to do or teach ourselves, yoga helps our brains to actually develop new connections. It actually improves our cognitive skills. The other thing about it is that when we've experienced some big emotional, visceral kind of reactions, when we've got some trauma sitting in our system, yoga is also an opportunity for us to open up our system, release some of that trauma and that pain. It also allows us to, it also shifts how I'm living in my body right now, because when I've gone through some big emotional responses, when I'm dealing with depression, when I'm dealing with anxiety, when I'm dealing with stress, when I'm dealing with trauma, whatever the case might be, there's a shift that happens in my physical body, and I carry that stress in my physical body, and I shift how I'm living in this space. The problem is, for a lot of us, is that we're not consciously aware of how I'm living in this space until we go to try and do some of this mindfulness, this meditation, or even a yoga practice that allows me to start to release some of that trauma and shift how I'm living in my body. Meditation, yoga, all of these practices that we can incorporate into our daily routine are actually quite good for us. They increase parts of our brain that we are needed for, say, attention, for concentration, for memory, for language, for thought, for awareness. There's all sorts of new sort of like alternative forms of therapy these days. And I mean, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I am a mental health therapist, but I enjoy and I actually really promote some of the alternative forms of therapy. I do, equine facilitated programs where we get to have a lovely horse partner that helps us to integrate skills that we need to learn and adopt in our world. I also utilize mindfulness and meditation and yoga as part of the system towards health, healing, and really shifting us in the direction that we need to be, that will help us to, like I said, open up some of those traumas, those anxieties and whatnot, those stresses that are impacting on us, so that we can start the process of really healing. And you know what? Studies have proven it. Studies have proven that incorporating some of those alternative therapies, especially yoga, have some of the longest lasting effects on people's healing process and ability to move through the emotional distress that they've been experiencing in their world. And I am here to help you to start to break through some of those barriers that have been holding you hostage. I hope that this has added some value to you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, and I'll be back with you next week. Bye for now.
Are you finding it difficult to wind down? Like you're always on edge, irritable, just can't seem to slow that hamster on the wheel in your mind? In today's fast-paced, high expectation, always on, excessively busy world, we are just getting inundated with more emails, more notifications, more work, more busyness. Caught in the rat race on the wheel of speed, artificial urgency, and noise. Our minds are running all over the place, keeping us distracted, unable to focus on anything for more than a few moments, and leaves us feeling like life is happening to us. It's impacting sleep, appetite, and even our ability to connect with friends and family. We're losing our peace, our connectedness, the ability to slow down, reflect, and contemplate, and even losing ourselves in the process. It's time to re-honor yourself. It's time to reconnect with your innate nature, to learn that you can experience peace, even within the storms. Learn to dismiss those unhelpful thoughts, that desire to recoil in emotion, to shift away from the need to impress and regain control in a world that feels so out of control. Create your own competing system that allows you to just be, to be human, to contemplate in stillness, to flow within your world in quiet peace. At Calm and Quiet Restorations, we offer you just that. Learn the art of quieting the mind, restoring the body, and calming the soul. This ongoing program is for learning the skill, connecting with yourself, and equipping, inspiring, and empowering you to take it into your everyday world. Each class is standalone. Come when you can, don't when you can't. Register today at michellenewstettercounseling.as.me or click the link below.